Hi there, my name is Steve and I've been involved in running the Facework programme. I'm speaking from London and every week we run programmes for refugees, young people, and all the time we're talking about employment and helping people get jobs, but we're also really passionate about teaching soft skills. And this booklet, which has been out now and is being translated into different languages, is a really good starting point because a teacher could use this and photocopy the pages and get young people thinking about a range of activities, and there's exercises in here. But what teachers have also asked me to do is to help, well, how would we structure a lesson on this subject? You know, this is challenging because unlike a curriculum where you know geography has different components and you know the facts and you have to teach the facts and you have to reinforce it and they know that they're learning, this is much more informal. But just because it's more ambiguous and you can't accredit it or maybe get an exam in it, doesn't mean it's not important. In fact, I would argue that soft skills training in schools is now so important. We know what career guidance teachers do. They do a fantastic job at helping people think about the different jobs. But when you then think about how soft skills can make you more employable, we say hard skills will get you the job, but soft skills will supercharge and grow your career. So I've just got for you a really simple lesson plan here. And you can download it on the website, but I just thought it'd be really good just to talk it through with you. First thing about teaching soft skills in the classroom is you've really got to have a strong start. I'm using old school technology here, not a PowerPoint or a film. When I do it, we use something like Lego, where we get kids to sort of, make a Lego character in small groups and introduce a theme by saying, this is this Lego character's superpower. And then superpower, we sort of say, well, that's like a skill. And what is a skill? Let's discuss it. You can also talk about something in the newspaper last week, introduce it to say, look, this is really relevant. So understanding the context of the learner's interest in this subject is so important. I often use a clip from a film, a very simple clip that will bring laughter and fun. Actually show when it doesn't work is also so important to show what it is. So start with a strong start. Maybe a personal story from you. I think this is quite challenging for us as teachers because we don't want to give away too many personal information about ourselves. But I often start when I'm talking about a subject how I made a mistake, like not taking initiative for an interview. So you can introduce this subject with personal stories, maybe with role play. It's fascinating, do a little role play with a student. A social media post, talk about something on social media. Who in the last couple of weeks have been watching TikTok or Instagram and have seen something that you just think is really crass? So that's a good thing, strong start. You never get a second chance to make a first impression, work it hard. The second thing that I would say is really important is in 15 minutes, get them talking. You know, it's so exciting when the teaching session just takes off. And depending on how, whether you've got 20 students or 40 students, or in some villages that I've worked in, you've had a whole 100 students and it's noisy in a hall and it's hot. Whatever you try to do, get people to break up into small groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right, get all the 5s together, all the 4s together, all the 3s together. Sometimes give them stickers, give them a name for their team, just things that give them a little bit of identity and fun. Give them maybe a provocative question to discuss, maybe from the film or the role play. Sometimes you give them to describe the topic to an 8-year-old. That's a nice little activity. Would you use drama? Would you use a picture? Would you use role play, etc.? What's the opposite of this? That's a wonderful way of starting a conversation. We know things like, being organised, that's a skill. What's the opposite of being organised? And all the time, validate what's happening. So go around the group, listen to the conversation. That's interesting. I might feed back on that later. Think about how that discussion is going. If it's not going very well, it's being dominated by key people, you know the rules. You know the way of structuring small groups. But getting them talking, and don't be frightened to just let the learning take its own pace. It is 15 minutes here, it might be 20 minutes, or you might dry up in 5 minutes. You'll know based on the group, their confidence as a group, if they know each other, if they've worked with each other before. But the point is, teaching soft skills is not a sage on the stage, or even a guide by the side. It's the professional in the pit of learning, working with the learners, asking what they're bringing to the learning. And you only do that by getting people to talk. Intentional, focused, relevant talking. And you can do that in small groups. The third thing I think is important after you get them talking is feedback. I've given about 25 minutes to this, and it may even take longer. It depends how long you've got. Obviously, if you're going to overrun, don't overrun on this section. But getting the groups to feedback, asking one person from that group to discuss to the whole group what they learnt in that group, what they were discussing. Obviously, get some ground rules in that section. In respect, don't judge, listen to people. It's also good to get somebody else from another group to scribe what they're saying. That is an incredible skill. You know, if you can listen and write at the same time, if you're in a business meeting, you might be a minute taker. If you're able to summarize and you can crystallize and aggregate the learning in a different setting, that's a fantastic skill. And we could be modeling that here. Summarize what the key outcome from that group is. So what you're saying in this example of taking initiative when you would describe it to an 8-year-old is it's A, B, C. Is that right? What do other people think? Getting people to feedback is so valuable, as long as you do it with respect and you don't let one or two groups dominate. And validate, validate, validate. Tell them something you've learned. Do you know, I've never thought about that subject from what you've said. That's really important. I'm going to write that down. I'm going to think about that. Let's talk about that next week. Fourth thing is, how do you get students to put it into action? And I think this is where we need to be really, really intentional. So when you've had the activity, think of an activity which then embeds the learning and helps them put what they've learned into action. So again, a role play could be good. Let's summarize that by a role play interview. Let's make a poster or a video, learning from other learners, getting maybe 3 or 4 different posters that you could put up in the school saying, we're a school or we're a class that really takes initiative. Initiative is our superpower, whatever, examples. Get into the community. When the learning gets into real life, that's when learning grows and explodes. Get them to say, look, okay, tonight when you go home, talk to your parent about whether you think they take initiative. Next time you see an employer in the shop, say, what do you think is the most important quality that you have when you employ somebody? How would you say taking initiative, if that's one you're looking at, or staying motivated, or managing risk, or making decisions? There's loads of things here. That's really great where the learning takes place. And you have to have courage to do that. And obviously there's safeguarding issues if you're talking to people in the street. But the point is, get young people to see why this subject is relevant outside of the classroom. And that's really where I think the superpower comes in. Celebrate the learning. Find champions. Do you know, Radhika here, or Simon here, or John here, or Peter here, or whatever their names are. I think you're really good at that. Could you kind of next week maybe do a session on what you've learnt in this area, or give a little talk about how you use that skill in playing football or playing in a team? Can you see? Now, all these things sound a bit corny, and I know that I can come across saying, well, it's easy to say that, hard to do. I know. I've had lessons that have just gone south. But I think the principles here are simple: to have 4 sections, to have a really strong, engaging start, using your creativity. Secondly, getting them talking. Don't be frightened of noise. People say it's a noisy classroom. It's not, and no learning is taking place. For me, a noisy classroom is where learning is taking place. Let's get people talking. Control it, support it, channel it, getting the feedback. That's another 25 minutes maybe, and then putting it into action. What I'm saying to you is, apply your knowledge. Think about the pedagogy here. How are people learning? They're learning from each other, they're learning by doing, and they're learning also by you modelling it. And so a lot of the tools that we're doing here, or the ways we're teaching soft skills, are actually strengthening soft skills. Listening, you know, for curiosity, not just to give your opinion. Working in teams, having divergent thinking. So I hope that has been helpful. 4 parts of a lesson, and between us, I'm sure you'll then give other ideas and other creativity ways to bring the learning to life in the classroom so that we really serve our students better in helping them prepare for a life outside the school gate, where soft skills are going to be really, really important in helping young people make their careers work. Thank you very much.